A lonely man haunted by loss. A mother giving birth on a crowded subway. A small girl facing her greatest fear. When the world turns away, only courage and kindness remain. This is the story of Ryan Carter, a single father who saved a life on the last train of the night, and in doing so found a second chance for himself. Stay until the end to see what happens next. Hit like and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels. The garage smelled like motor oil and rust, the kind of smell that sticks to your clothes and doesn't wash out easy. Ryan Carter wiped his hands on a rag that was more grease than fabric and squinted at the Chevy's transmission spread out on the workbench. 46 hours until Mr. Peterson needed it back. 46 hours, and he was still waiting on a part that should have arrived yesterday. Dad? He turned. Emma stood in the doorway connecting the garage to their apartment, clutching her stuffed rabbit by one ear. Her hair was tangled from sleep, and she had that look, the one that said she'd woken up from another bad dream. "What's up, Bug?" He set down the wrench and crouched so they were eye level. "I can't find my blue shirt, the one with the stars." "Laundry basket, probably. Did you check?" She nodded, solemn. "It's dirty." "Well..." Ryan stood and stretched his back until something popped. "Guess you'll have to wear the red one today." "I don't like the red one." "Why not?" "It's too scratchy." He could have argued, could have told her that scratchy was fine, that plenty of kids wore scratchy shirts and survived just fine. But Emma had those eyes, her mother's eyes, and when she looked at him like that, tired and small and 7 years old, he didn't have it in him to push. "All right," he said. "I'll wash it tonight." "Red one for today, deal?" She considered this with the gravity of a judge handing down a sentence. "Deal. Go get dressed then. Breakfast in 10. She disappeared back into the apartment and Ryan returned to the transmission, knowing full well he wouldn't get another hour of work done before she needed something else. That was the deal. That was life now. 3 years since the accident. 3 years since Sarah took a corner too fast in the rain and didn't make it home. 3 years of figuring out how to be both parents at once while running a garage that barely broke even. He'd thought about selling, moving somewhere cheaper, maybe getting a job with benefits and weekends off. But this place was all he had left of the life they'd built together. Sarah had painted the apartment walls herself, pale yellow because she said it made mornings feel warmer. Her tools still hung on the pegboard. Her handwriting was still on the invoice pad. So he stayed. Fixed cars. Raised Emma. Tried not to think too hard about what came next. In the apartment, he scrambled eggs while Emma sat at the table coloring a picture of what appeared to be either a dragon or a very angry dog. The kitchen was narrow, barely room for 2 people to pass each other, but it was clean. He kept it clean. That mattered. "What do you want for lunch?" he asked. "Peanut butter." "Again?" "I like peanut butter." "You had it yesterday." "I like it every day." He plated the eggs and set them in front of her. She picked up her fork, poked at the eggs suspiciously, then took a small bite. "It's good," she said, surprised. "Yeah, well, don't sound so shocked." She grinned, and for a second she looked just like Sarah when she was teasing him, and it hurt in that specific way that never quite went away. After breakfast, he walked her to the bus stop, 3 blocks down. The neighborhood wasn't great. Too much trash on the sidewalks, too many boarded-up windows. But it wasn't the worst either. People minded their business. The bodega on the corner knew Emma by name. Mrs. Chen from the laundromat always slipped her a candy when they passed by. The bus arrived, wheezing to a stop with a hiss of brakes. Emma climbed the steps, turned, and waved. Ryan waved back, watched the bus pull away, stood there until it turned the corner and disappeared. Then he walked back to the garage and got to work. The day passed the way most days did. A brake job, an oil change, a guy who wanted his muffler fixed but didn't want to pay for a new one, so Ryan patched it with wire and sealant and told him it'd last maybe 2 months if he was lucky. By 3 o'clock, his back was screaming and his knuckles were bleeding from a stubborn bolt that finally gave way and took a chunk of skin with it. He was washing his hands in the utility sink when his phone buzzed. A text from the school. "Emma says she doesn't feel good. Can you pick her up?" Ryan dried his hands and checked the clock. 3:15. He had 2 more jobs lined up, but neither was urgent. He texted back, "On my way." The school was a 10-minute drive, a squat brick building surrounded by a chain-link fence. He found Emma in the nurse's office, sitting on the vinyl cot with her backpack on her lap. "Hey, Bug, what's wrong?" "My stomach hurts." The nurse, a woman in her 50s with reading glasses on a chain, gave him a look that said she'd seen this before. "No fever? She ate lunch. I think she's fine physically." Ryan nodded. He knew what this was. Emma got stomach aches when she was anxious. They'd started a few months after Sarah died and never really stopped. "Come on," he said. "Let's go home." In the truck, Emma was quiet. She stared out the window, hugging her backpack. "You want to talk about it?" Ryan asked. "No." "Okay." They drove in silence. He didn't push. Pushing never worked with her. Back at the apartment, she went straight to her room and shut the door. Ryan stood in the hallway for a minute, debating whether to follow, then decided against it. She needed space. He'd learned that the hard way. He made dinner, spaghetti, because it was easy, and she usually ate it without complaint. While the water boiled, he folded laundry on the couch, matched socks, smoothed out t-shirts, small, repetitive tasks that kept his hands busy and his mind from wandering too far. At 6, Emma emerged. Her hair was brushed now, and she'd changed into pajamas even though it was barely evening. "Hungry?" he asked. She nodded. They ate together at the table. Emma twisted spaghetti around her fork with intense concentration, and Ryan watched her, trying to read her mood. "Mrs. Miller asked if anyone wanted to share about their family today," Emma said finally. "Yeah? I didn't want to." "That's okay. Everyone else did." "You don't have to do what everyone else does." She looked up at him. "Do you think Mom would be sad that it's just us now?" The question landed like a punch. Ryan set down his fork and took a breath. "No," he said. "I think she'd be proud of you, proud of how strong you are." "I don't feel strong." "You are, though. Trust me." Emma considered this, then went back to her spaghetti. The conversation was over. That was how it went with her. Quick, sharp moments of honesty, then back to the surface. After dinner, Ryan cleaned up while Emma watched cartoons. At 8, he got her into bed, read her 2 chapters of the book they were working through, something about a girl who finds a magic door in her closet, and turned off the light. "Dad? Yeah? Can you leave the hall light on?" "Sure." He stood in the doorway until her breathing evened out, then went back to the living room. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the building settling. He should have gone to bed, should have rested, but sleep didn't come easy anymore, so he sat on the couch and stared at nothing in particular. His phone buzzed, a reminder he'd set weeks ago and kept ignoring. Emma's checkup, schedule appointment. He swiped it away. Tomorrow. He'd deal with it tomorrow. The week crawled forward. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the same. Fix cars, pick up Emma, make dinner, repeat. On Thursday, Mrs. Chen stopped him outside the laundromat. "Your girl okay?" she asked. "She looks tired." "She's fine," Ryan said, even though he wasn't sure that was true. "You look tired too." "Yeah, well, that's the job." Mrs. Chen smiled, sad and knowing. "You take care of yourself, Ryan. Can't pour from an empty cup." He nodded, thanked her, and kept walking. Friday brought rain, the kind that started as drizzle and turned mean by mid-afternoon. Ryan was under a Honda when the customer called to say he wouldn't make it in to pick up his car until Monday. Fine. One less thing to finish today. He closed the garage early and picked up Emma from school. She was soaked, her jacket doing nothing against the downpour. "Why didn't you wait inside, Mads?" he asked. "I wanted to see if you were coming. I'm always coming, Bug." She didn't answer. That evening, the power flickered twice before giving up entirely. Ryan found the flashlight, lit a candle, and they ate peanut butter sandwiches in the dark. "This is like camping," Emma said. "Yeah, indoor camping." She giggled, and the sound was so unexpected, so purely her, that Ryan felt something loosen in his chest. The power came back an hour later, and with it, the reminder that life didn't pause just because you wanted it to. Saturday morning, Ryan made a decision. They needed to get out, do something different, break the routine before it crushed them both. "How about we go into the city today?" he said. Emma looked up from her cereal. Why? Why not? We could see a movie, get pizza, maybe hit that bookstore you like. She frowned, skeptical. We never go into the city. Well, maybe we should start. She thought about it, then shrugged. Okay. They took the bus, then transferred to the subway. Emma pressed her face against the window, watching the tunnel walls blur past. Ryan sat beside her, one arm looped through the overhead strap, the other resting on her shoulder. The train was crowded. Saturday afternoon, everyone heading somewhere. A man in a suit talked loudly on his phone. Two teenagers laughed over a video on a cracked screen. An older woman knitted, her needles clicking in a steady rhythm. Ryan felt the weight of the week start to lift. Maybe this was good. Maybe they both needed this. They got off at Union Station and walked to the theater. The movie was some animated thing about talking animals, and Emma sat through the whole thing with wide eyes, clutching a bag of popcorn. Afterward, they got pizza at a place with checkered tablecloths and pictures of Italy on the walls. This is the best day, Emma said, tomato sauce on her chin. Ryan smiled. Yeah? Yeah. They took their time heading back, stopping at the bookstore where Emma picked out 2 new books and Ryan bought her both without hesitation. By the time they got back on the subway, it was nearly evening and the train was packed. They found seats near the middle of the car. Emma sat by the window again, her new books on her lap. Ryan leaned back, exhausted in a good way, and closed his eyes. The train lurched forward, and then someone screamed. Ryan's eyes snapped open. Across the aisle, people were standing, crowding toward the far end of the car. Voices overlapped, frantic. What's happening? Emma asked, her voice small. Stay here, Ryan said. He stood, craning his neck to see past the crowd. Someone was on the floor. A woman. Young, maybe mid-20s. She was doubled over, clutching her stomach, her face twisted in pain. She just collapsed, a man said to no one in particular. Is she okay? Someone else asked. No one moved to help. They stood there staring, frozen. Ryan pushed through the crowd. The woman looked up at him, her eyes wild with fear. Please, she gasped. I think the baby's coming. The train car went silent. Ryan knelt beside her. His hands were shaking, but his voice came out steady. Okay, it's going to be all right. How far along are you? 34 weeks, she said, her breath hitching. It's too early. It's going to be fine, Ryan said, even though he had no idea if that was true. What's your name? Lena. Lena, I'm Ryan. I'm going to help you. Behind him, someone said, Should we stop the train? No time, Ryan said. How far to the next station? 5 minutes, maybe. 5 minutes. He could work with that. Someone call 911, Ryan said. Tell them we need an ambulance at the next stop. A man pulled out his phone, his hands fumbling. Ryan turned back to Lena. She was breathing hard, her face pale and slick with sweat. I need you to focus on me, he said. Can you do that? She nodded, barely. Good. When's the last time you had a contraction? I don't know. They're close, really close. Ryan's mind raced. He'd done this before. Years ago, back when he was training to be a paramedic, before life took him in a different direction. But that was different. That was controlled, clean. This was a moving subway car with 100 people watching and no equipment, and a woman who might lose her baby if he screwed this up. He pushed the panic down. Lena, I need to check how far along you are. Is that okay? She nodded again, gritting her teeth. Ryan looked around. Does anyone have a jacket? A blanket? Anything? A woman stepped forward, shrugging off her coat. Ryan took it, draped it over Lena's lower half for privacy. Okay, he said quietly. This is going to be uncomfortable, but I need to see what's happening. He checked. His stomach dropped. The baby was crowning. All right, he said, keeping his voice calm. Change of plans. We're not making it to the station. Lena's eyes went wide. What? No, I can't. You can, Ryan said firmly, and you will. I've done this before. You're going to be fine. Someone behind him said, Oh my God! Everyone back up, Ryan said, louder now. Give us space. The crowd shuffled back, but no one left. They stood there watching, useless. Emma appeared at his side. Dad? Emma, go sit down. But please, Bug, sit down. She didn't move. Her face was pale, her eyes locked on Lena. I want to help, she said. Ryan started to argue, then stopped. He looked at his daughter, 7 years old, scared, but standing her ground, and made a decision. Okay, he said. Okay, come here. Emma knelt beside him. Hold her hand, Ryan said, nodding toward Lena. Talk to her. Keep her calm. Emma reached out, her small hand wrapping around Lena's. It's okay, Emma said softly. My dad knows what he's doing. Lena looked at her, then at Ryan, and something in her face shifted. The fear didn't leave, but it quieted. Okay, she whispered. Ryan took a breath, focused. Next contraction, I need you to push, he said. Not too hard, just steady. Can you do that? I think so. Good. Here we go. The contraction came. Lena screamed, her hand crushing Emma's. Ryan guided her through it, his hand steady even as his heart hammered in his chest. That's it, he said. You're doing great. One more. Just one more. The train rattled over the tracks. The lights flickered. Somewhere in the background, a baby cried. Not Lena's, someone else's. And the sound felt surreal, like the universe was mocking them. Another contraction. Lena bore down, her whole body shaking. And then, in a rush of blood and fluid and chaos, the baby was there. Tiny. Silent. Ryan's hands moved on instinct. He cleared the airway, rubbed the baby's back, praying for a sound, any sound. Nothing. Come on, he muttered. Come on, kid. He rubbed harder, and then a cough, a sputter, and finally a cry. The entire train car seemed to exhale. Ryan wrapped the baby in the coat, placed her on Lena's chest. Lena sobbed, her hand shaking as she held her daughter. You did it, Ryan said. She's here. Is she okay? Lena asked, her voice breaking. She's breathing. She's pink. She's perfect. The train pulled into the station. The doors opened. Paramedics rushed in, taking over, lifting Lena onto a stretcher. One of them clapped Ryan on the shoulder. Nice work, he said. Ryan nodded, too numb to respond. Emma tugged on his sleeve. He looked down. She was crying. You saved her, she said. Ryan pulled her into his arms, held her tight. We saved her, he said. The crowd dispersed. The train moved on. Ryan and Emma sat in silence, the adrenaline slowly draining away, leaving only exhaustion. Dad? Emma said after a while. Yeah? I wasn't scared. Ryan looked at her. Her eyes were bright, almost fierce. I'm proud of you, he said. She leaned against him, and they rode the rest of the way home like that, two people who'd just witnessed something impossible, trying to make sense of it. When they got back to the apartment, Ryan made hot chocolate. They sat on the couch, wrapped in blankets, not talking. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. This is Lena. The hospital gave me your number. I don't know how to thank you. Ryan stared at the message, started to type a response, then deleted it. Tried again. Just glad you're both okay. Her reply came quickly. Can I see you? To say thank you in person? Ryan hesitated. His first instinct was to say no, to keep his distance, to go back to the safe, small life he'd built. But then he looked at Emma, curled up beside him, her eyes already drooping. Sure, he typed. Let me know when. He set the phone down and closed his eyes. For the first time in 3 years, he felt something other than fear. He felt hope. The text sat on his phone for 2 days before Lena reached out again. Ryan had thought about it more than he wanted to admit. Replayed the subway car in his mind. Lena's face. The baby's first cry. Emma's small hand reaching out without being asked. He'd saved people before, back when he was training, but this felt different. Maybe because Emma had been there. Maybe because he'd been so close to losing it and hadn't. Monday morning, while Emma was at school, the phone buzzed. I'm being discharged Thursday. Could we meet Friday? There's a cafe near the hospital. My treat. Ryan typed back without overthinking it. Friday works. 2 p.m.? Perfect. Thank you. He set the phone down and went back to work. But the week felt different now. Like something had shifted just slightly off center, and he wasn't sure yet if that was good or bad. Thursday night, Emma was unusually quiet during dinner. She pushed her mac and cheese around her plate, building small hills and valleys with her fork. "You okay?" Ryan asked. "Are we going to see the baby?" He hadn't mentioned Lena's invitation, hadn't decided if Emma should come. "Maybe," he said. "Would you want to?" Emma nodded, serious. "I want to make sure she's okay." "She's okay. The hospital wouldn't let her leave if she wasn't." "But I want to see." Ryan studied his daughter, 7 years old and already carrying the weight of the world like it was her job. He recognized that. He'd been doing the same thing since Sarah died. "All right," he said. "We'll go together." Friday afternoon, they took the bus into the city. Emma wore her blue shirt, the one with the stars, and held Ryan's hand the entire way. The cafe was small, tucked between a pharmacy and a dry cleaner, with mismatched chairs and plants hanging in the windows. Lena was already there. She sat in the corner, the baby asleep in a carrier beside her. When she saw them, she stood, and Ryan noticed she moved carefully, like everything still hurt. "Ryan," she said. "And Emma, right?" Emma nodded, suddenly shy. "Come sit," Lena said. "Please." They sat. Ryan ordered coffee he didn't really want, and Emma got hot chocolate that came with too much whipped cream. Lena watched them with an expression Ryan couldn't quite read, something between gratitude and sadness. "I've been trying to figure out what to say," Lena started. "I practiced a whole speech, but now it feels ridiculous." "You don't have to say anything," Ryan said. "I do, though." She looked down at the baby, still sleeping. "You saved her life, both our lives. I don't know how to repay that." "You don't repay something like that. You just move forward." Lena smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm trying to figure out what that looks like." Emma leaned forward, peering into the carrier. "What's her name?" "Lily," Lena said softly. "Lily Grace." "She's really small." "She is, but she's strong, stronger than she looks." Ryan sipped his coffee and watched Emma stare at the baby with an intensity that surprised him. She'd never been around infants much, never shown much interest, but now she looked transfixed. "Can I hold her?" Emma asked. Lena hesitated, then nodded. "If you're very careful." Ryan helped position Emma's arms, then Lena lifted Lily from the carrier and placed her gently in Emma's lap. The baby stirred but didn't wake. Emma went completely still, barely breathing. "She's so light," Emma whispered. "She'll get bigger," Lena said. "Eventually she'll be running around and driving you crazy." "Like me," Emma said. Ryan laughed. "You don't drive me crazy?" "You said I did last week." "That was different. You were singing the same song for 3 hours straight." Emma grinned, and Lena laughed, and for a moment it felt almost normal, like they were just 3 people having coffee, not strangers bound together by something impossible. Lily began to fuss. Lena took her back, rocking her gently until she settled. "How's it been?" Ryan asked. "The hospital, I mean. Everything okay?" "Mostly," Lena said. "They want to keep monitoring her for a few more weeks. Premature babies, you know. They worry. You have help? Family?" Something flickered across Lena's face. "Not really. My mom's in California. We don't talk much." "And Lily's father," she trailed off, shook her head. "He's not in the picture." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It's better this way." She looked at Emma, then back at Ryan. "What about you? Emma's mom?" "She passed 3 years ago." "I'm sorry," Lena said quietly. "Yeah, me too." They sat in silence for a moment. Not uncomfortable, just heavy. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. "On the train, you knew exactly what to do. Are you a doctor?" Ryan shook his head. "I was training to be a paramedic, long time ago. Life got in the way." "Why'd you stop?" He hadn't talked about this in years, hadn't wanted to, but something about the way Lena asked, like she genuinely wanted to know, not just making conversation, made him answer. "Sarah got pregnant," he said. We weren't ready. I was barely making anything as a trainee, and she was working 2 jobs. We needed stability, so I quit and started working at a garage. Learned the trade. Eventually bought the place." He shrugged. "No regrets. It was the right call." "Do you miss it? The medical stuff?" "Sometimes." "Yeah." Emma tugged on his sleeve. Can we come back and see Lily again? Lena looked at Ryan, hopeful. You're welcome any time, really. We'll see, Ryan said, which was the closest he could get to yes, without committing to something he wasn't sure he understood yet. They stayed another hour, talked about small things, Emma's school, Lena's job as a graphic designer, the weather. When Lily started crying in earnest, Lena excused herself to the bathroom to nurse, and Ryan and Emma waited outside on the sidewalk. I like her, Emma said. Lena or Lily? Both. Yeah, Ryan said. Me too. When Lena came back out, she walked them to the bus stop. Thank you, she said again, for coming, for everything. Take care of yourself, Ryan said. You too. On the bus ride home, Emma fell asleep against his shoulder. Ryan stared out the window and tried not to think too hard about the fact that he already wanted to see Lena again. The following week blurred together. Work piled up, a busted radiator, a seized engine, a timing belt that snapped and took half the valves with it. Ryan worked late most nights, coming home to find Emma already asleep, Mrs. Chen from next door sitting on the couch, watching her like she'd done a dozen times before. You're pushing too hard, Mrs. Chen said one night. I'm fine. You look like hell. Thanks. She stood gathering her knitting. That girl came by earlier, the one from the train. She left something for Emma. Ryan found the package on the kitchen table. Inside was a book, a picture book about a brave little girl who wasn't afraid of anything. There was a note tucked inside. For Emma. Thank you for being so brave. Lena. He set it on Emma's nightstand so she'd see it in the morning. Thursday, Lena texted again. Lily has a checkup tomorrow. She hates the doctor. Any chance Emma wants to come keep her company? Ryan stared at the message. He should say no. Should keep distance between their lives. But Emma had been asking about Lily every day, and he didn't have the heart to shut that down. What time? 11 a.m. I can pick you up if that's easier. We'll meet you there. Send me the address. The clinic was in a better part of town, the kind of place with clean floors and plants that weren't half dead. Lena was in the waiting room when they arrived, Lily bundled in a yellow blanket. You came, she said, and she looked genuinely relieved. Of course, Emma said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. They sat together while Lena checked in. Emma entertained Lily by making faces, and the baby stared at her with wide, serious eyes. She likes you, Lena said. How can you tell? She's not crying. That's basically love for a baby. The appointment took longer than expected. They weighed Lily, measured her, poked and prodded until she screamed. Lena looked exhausted by the end of it, and Ryan found himself stepping in without thinking, holding Lily while Lena filled out paperwork, bouncing her gently until she stopped crying. You're good at that, Lena said. Had practice. Still. Afterward, they walked to a park nearby. Emma ran ahead to the playground, and Ryan and Lena sat on a bench, Lily asleep again in her carrier. Can I ask you something? Lena said. Sure. Why'd you help me? On the train? Most people wouldn't have. Ryan thought about it. I don't know. Instinct, I guess. Saw someone who needed help and just did it. It's more than that, though. You risked a lot. What if something had gone wrong? It didn't. But it could have. He looked at her. Would you have wanted me to walk away? No, she said quietly. But I wouldn't have blamed you if you did. They sat in silence, watching Emma on the swings. She was laughing, her legs pumping hard, her hair flying behind her. She's a good kid, Lena said. Yeah, she is. Looks like you, Ryan smiled. She's got her mom's eyes, though, and her stubbornness. Tell me about her, your wife. He hesitated. He didn't talk about Sarah much. It hurt too much, and most people didn't really want to hear it anyway. They asked out of politeness, not genuine interest, but Lena's question felt different. She was a painter, he said finally. Not professionally, just for fun. She'd spend hours working on something, then hate it and start over. Drove me crazy. He laughed, soft. She sang off-key. Always. Didn't care. She made the best pancakes I've ever had, and I still don't know what she put in them because she refused to write it down. Said recipes ruined the magic. She sounds wonderful. She was. He paused. And she was a terrible driver. Hated admitting it, but it's true. That night, it was raining, and she took a turn too fast. Car flipped. She was gone before the ambulance even got there. I'm so sorry, Ryan. It's okay. It's been 3 years. You'd think I'd be over it by now. You don't get over something like that. You just learn to live with it. He looked at her, surprised. Yeah, exactly. Lena shifted Lily's carrier, adjusting the blanket. Lily's father left when I told him I was pregnant, just packed up and disappeared. I thought I'd be okay alone, thought I was strong enough. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I'm not. You're stronger than you think. I collapsed on a subway. And you're still here, still fighting. That's strength. She looked at him, and something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Recognition. Two people who'd been knocked down and were still trying to figure out how to stand back up. Emma ran over, breathless. Dad, can we get ice cream? It's almost dinner time. Please? Ryan sighed. Fine, but you're eating vegetables tonight. No arguments. Deal. They found an ice cream truck parked near the playground. Emma got strawberry, Lena got vanilla, and Ryan got nothing because he claimed he wasn't hungry, though really, he just didn't want to spend the extra money. Lena noticed. You sure, my treat? I'm good. She didn't push, but she gave him a look that said she saw right through him. On the walk back to the bus stop, Emma held Lena's hand on one side and Ryan's on the other. Swinging between them like this was something they did all the time. Like they were a unit. It should have felt strange. It didn't. At the bus stop, Lena hesitated. I know this is a lot to ask, but would you want to do this again? Next week, maybe? Ryan wanted to say no. Wanted to keep his life simple, predictable, safe. But Emma was looking at him with those eyes, and Lena looked so hopeful, and he was tired of being afraid. Yeah, he said. We'd like that. Lena smiled, and it was the first real smile he'd seen from her. It changed her whole face. The next week, they met at the park again, then the week after that. It became a routine. Fridays after school, sometimes Saturdays if Ryan didn't have too much work. Emma and Lily became inseparable in the way only kids and babies can be. Emma would sit for hours just talking to her, making up stories, singing songs she'd learned in school. Lena and Ryan talked too, about everything and nothing. She told him about her work, designing logos for small businesses, how she'd always wanted to be a fine artist but couldn't make it pay. He told her about the garage, about the cars he loved and the customers he didn't, about the quiet satisfaction of fixing something broken. One Saturday, Lena invited them to her apartment. It was small, a studio in a building that had seen better days, but she'd made it warm. Plants on the windowsill, prints on the walls. A mobile hanging over Lily's crib that spun slowly in the breeze from the open window. It's not much, she said. It's nice, Ryan said, and he meant it. Emma immediately went to Lily, who was awake and gurgling in her crib. Lena made coffee, and they sat on the couch while Emma entertained the baby. I've been thinking, Lena said, about going back to work. I can't afford not to much longer. What about Lily? Daycare, I guess. There's a place near here. It's expensive, but... She shrugged, helpless. That's rough. Yeah. They sat in silence. Ryan wanted to offer something, help, money, solutions, but he didn't have any. He was barely keeping his own life together. I'll figure it out, Lena said, like she was trying to convince herself. You will, Ryan said, and he hoped it was true. That night, Emma was quieter than usual. They were on the bus heading home when she finally spoke. Lena's sad. Yeah, she is, because she doesn't have anyone to help her. Ryan looked at his daughter. Where'd you hear that? I just know. He pulled her closer. She's got us. That's something. Emma nodded, but she didn't look convinced. The following week, Lena called him. Not texted, called. Ryan answered on the third ring. Hey, everything okay? I need a favor. Her voice was tight. It's Lily. She's running a fever and I can't get her to stop crying and I don't know if I should take her to the ER or wait or bring her here, Ryan said without thinking. What? To the garage. I'll take a look. It's probably nothing, but we'll figure it out. Ryan, I can't. You can. Just come. She arrived 20 minutes later. Lily was wailing, her face red and blotchy. Lena looked like she hadn't slept in days. Ryan took Lily gently, felt her forehead. Sheba was warm, but not burning. "When did it start?" he asked. "This morning. She's been fussy all day, but the fever just spiked an hour ago." He checked her over, ears, throat, belly. Everything looked normal. "Has she been eating?" "Not much. Wet diapers?" "A few." Ryan handed Lily back. "I think it's just a virus. Keep her hydrated. If the fever goes over 101, take her in. Otherwise, she'll probably be fine in a day or two." Lena exhaled, shaky with relief. "You're sure?" "I'm not a doctor, but yeah, I'm sure." She sat down heavily on the couch in the apartment, Lily still crying against her shoulder. "I'm a terrible mother." "You're not." "I panicked. I didn't know what to do." "That's normal. You're doing fine." "I don't feel fine." Ryan sat beside her. "Nobody does. You just fake it until it sticks." Lena laughed, tired. "Is that what you do? Every single day?" They sat there for a while, Lily's cries gradually fading to whimpers, then silence. Lena looked down at her daughter, then at Ryan. "Thank you," she said. "For this. For everything." "Stop thanking me." "I can't. You keep saving us." "You're saving yourselves. I'm just here." She leaned her head on his shoulder, and Ryan went very still. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't anything but exhaustion and gratitude and two people trying to survive. But it felt significant anyway. When Lily was fully asleep, Lena stood carefully. "I should go." "You could stay," Ryan said. "If you want. Emma's at school for another hour. You could rest." Lena looked at him, and for a second he thought she'd say yes. Then she shook her head. "I should get her home, but thank you. Any time." At the door she turned back. "Ryan?" "Yeah?" "I'm really glad I met you." "Yeah," he said. "Me too." After she left, Ryan stood in the empty garage and tried to figure out what the hell he was doing. He'd meant to keep distance, meant to help, and move on. But somehow, without planning it, Lena and Lily had become part of his life. And Emma's. And he didn't know how to untangle that without hurting everyone involved. So he didn't. He just let it happen. The weeks blurred into a month, then two. Ryan and Lena fell into a rhythm that felt less like friendship and more like something he didn't have a name for yet. They texted daily, saw each other multiple times a week. Emma started calling Lily my baby, and Lena stopped correcting her. One night, after putting Emma to bed, Ryan sat in the kitchen and stared at his phone. Lena had sent a picture, Lily smiling for the first time, a gummy, lopsided grin. "Look what you're missing," the caption read. Ryan smiled and typed back, "She's perfect." "She gets it from me," Lena replied, and he could hear her laughing through the screen. He set the phone down and looked around the apartment. The same yellow walls Sarah had painted, the same furniture they'd bought together, the same life he'd been clinging to for 3 years because letting go felt like betrayal. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe moving forward wasn't forgetting. Maybe it was just finally learning to breathe again. His phone buzzed. "You still up?" "Yeah," he typed. "Can we talk?" "Now?" "If that's okay." Ryan glanced at Emma's door. She was asleep. He could spare a few minutes. "Call me." The phone rang seconds later. "Hey," Lena said. "Hey, what's up?" There was a pause. "I've been thinking about something, and I don't know how to say it without sounding insane." "Try me." Another pause. "I think I'm falling for you." Ryan's heart stopped. "I know it's fast," Lena continued, rushing now. "I know we barely know each other, and you've got Emma and I've got Lily, and this is probably the worst timing in the world, but I can't stop thinking about you, and I don't know what to do with that." Ryan sat there, phone pressed to his ear, mind racing. "Say something," Lena said quietly. "I don't know what to say." "That's fair." "It's not that I don't—" He stopped, started again. "I haven't felt like this in a long time, since Sarah, and that scares the hell out of me." "I know. I don't want to screw this up, whatever this is. So don't." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" He didn't have an answer for that. "Ryan," Lena said softly, "I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm just asking you to think about it. About us. That's all." Okay, he said. I'll think about it. Okay. They hung up, and Ryan sat in the dark kitchen for a long time, trying to figure out what the hell he was supposed to do now. He didn't sleep that night, just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying Lena's words over and over until they stopped sounding real. I think I'm falling for you. Ryan had spent 3 years building walls, thick ones, the kind that kept him safe and numb and functional. And now Lena was asking him to tear them down, and he didn't know if he remembered how. Morning came too fast. Emma shuffled into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes, and climbed into her chair without a word. Ryan made eggs, burned them, made more. Emma ate without complaint, which meant she knew something was off. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just tired. You look sad. I'm not sad. She gave him a look that said she didn't believe him, but she didn't push. That was Emma. She knew when to leave things alone. At school drop-off, she hugged him longer than usual. Love you, Dad. Love you too, Bug. He watched her disappear into the building, then sat in the truck for 10 minutes, trying to decide what to do. Finally, he texted Lena. Can we talk? In person. Her reply came fast. Yes. When? Tonight. After Emma's asleep. I'll come to you. Ryan spent the day working on autopilot, changed oil, rotated tires, replaced a battery. His hands did the work while his brain spun in circles. By the time he closed up the garage, he'd made exactly 0 decisions about anything. Emma was quiet during dinner. She pushed her peas around her plate and kept glancing at him like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. What? Ryan finally asked. Are you mad at Lena? The question hit him sideways. What? No, why would you think that? You're being weird. I'm not being weird. You are. Ryan set down his fork. Emma, I'm not mad at Lena. I promise. Then what's wrong? He didn't know how to answer that. Didn't know how to explain that he was terrified of wanting something again, of letting someone in, of screwing it all up. Nothing's wrong, he said. Just thinking about stuff. What stuff? Grown-up stuff. She rolled her eyes. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got right now. She went back to her peas, unconvinced. Ryan watched her and felt the weight of every choice he'd made in the last 3 years pressing down on him. After dinner, he got Emma ready for bed early. Read her 3 chapters instead of 2, hoping it would tire her out. It worked. She was asleep by 8:30, her rabbit tucked under her arm, her breathing slow and steady. Ryan sat on the couch and waited. Lena arrived at 9. She knocked softly, and when he opened the door, she looked as nervous as he felt. Hey, she said. Hey, come in. She stepped inside and they stood there awkwardly for a moment before Ryan gestured to the couch. You want coffee or anything? No, I'm good. They sat. The apartment was too quiet. Ryan could hear the refrigerator humming, the clock ticking, his own heartbeat. So, Lena said finally. So. She laughed, but it came out shaky. This is awful. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. No, Ryan said quickly. I'm glad you did. Are you? Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. Lena nodded. She looked down at her hands, twisting them together. I know this is complicated. You've got Emma. I've got Lily. We're both a mess in our own ways, but I can't pretend I don't feel something here. I feel it too, Ryan said, and saying it out loud made it real in a way that terrified him. So what do we do? I don't know. They sat in silence. Outside, a car alarm went off, then stopped. Someone shouted something unintelligible. The city kept moving, indifferent. I loved my wife, Ryan said finally. I loved her so much it hurt. And when she died, I thought that was it. Thought I'd used up my one shot at this. Ryan, let me finish. He took a breath. But then you showed up, you and Lily, and Emma's happier than she's been in years. And I'm happier. And that scares the hell out of me because what if I screw it up? What if I'm not good enough? What if... Stop. Lena reached over and took his hand. You're spiraling. I know. Look at me. He did. Her eyes were steady, certain in a way his weren't. I'm scared too, she said. I'm terrified, but I think maybe that's okay. Maybe we're supposed to be scared. That doesn't make it easier. No, but it makes it real. Ryan looked at their hands, her fingers laced through his. It felt right. That was the problem. It felt too right, and he didn't trust it. I need time, he said, to figure this out, to make sure I'm not just running from grief. Yeah, Lena nodded slowly. Okay, I can give you time, but Ryan, I need you to actually think about it. Don't just avoid it until it goes away, because it won't. This won't. I know. She squeezed his hand once, then let go and stood. I should go, let you think. Ryan walked her to the door. She paused on the threshold, looking back at him. For what it's worth, she said, I think you're already good enough. You just don't see it yet. Then she was gone, and Ryan was alone again with his thoughts. The next few days were agony. Lena gave him space like she'd promised, but the absence of her felt louder than her presence ever had. Emma kept asking when they were going to see Lily again, and Ryan kept saying soon even though he didn't know if that was true. On Wednesday, the garage flooded. A pipe burst in the back wall, and by the time Ryan noticed, there was 3 inches of water covering the floor. He spent the entire day cleaning it up, hauling out ruined boxes, trying to salvage what he could. By evening, he was soaked and exhausted, and so far past done, he couldn't even see the finish line. He was sitting on the floor, staring at nothing, when his phone rang. Mrs. Chen. Ryan, you need to come home, now. His stomach dropped. What happened? It's Emma. She collapsed at school. They took her to the hospital. Everything went white. Ryan didn't remember driving to the hospital, didn't remember parking or running through the ER doors, or demanding to know where his daughter was. The next clear moment was standing in a hallway while a doctor with kind eyes explained that Emma had fainted during recess. We're running tests, the doctor said. Her vitals are stable, but we want to make sure there's nothing underlying. What does that mean? Underlying what? Could be a lot of things. Dehydration, low blood sugar, an arrhythmia. We won't know until we get the results back. Can I see her? Of course. Room 12. Emma was awake when he got there. She looked small in the hospital bed, an IV in her arm, her face too pale. Hey, Bug, Ryan said, trying to keep his voice steady. Hi, Dad. He sat in the chair beside her and took her hand. You scared the hell out of me. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just tell me what happened. I don't know, I was playing, and then everything got fuzzy, and then I woke up and everyone was standing around me. Did you eat lunch today? She hesitated. Not really. Emma. I wasn't hungry. Ryan closed his eyes and counted to 10. You have to eat. You know that. I know. A nurse came in, checked Emma's vitals, adjusted something on the IV. She smiled at Emma. You're doing great, sweetie. Doctor should be back with results soon. After she left, Ryan sat in silence, watching Emma. She looked so fragile, so breakable. It reminded him of Sarah in the hospital after the accident, tubes and wires and machines keeping her alive until they couldn't anymore. Dad? Yeah? Am I going to be okay? Yes, Ryan said, even though he didn't know. You're going to be fine. Emma nodded, but she didn't look convinced. 2 hours later, the doctor came back. The tests were mostly normal. No arrhythmia, no diabetes, no anemia, probably just a vasovagal response. Basically, she got overheated and her body shut down to protect itself. Keep her hydrated, the doctor said. Make sure she's eating regular meals. If it happens again, bring her back. That's it? That's it. She's a healthy kid. Sometimes these things just happen. They discharged Emma that evening with a packet of instructions Ryan barely skimmed. He drove her home in silence, his hands gripping the wheel too tight. At the apartment, he got her settled on the couch with a blanket and her rabbit. Made her soup even though she said she wasn't hungry. Sat beside her and tried not to fall apart. Dad, I'm okay, Emma said. I know. Then why do you look like that? Like what? Scared. Ryan didn't answer. How could he explain that he'd spent 3 years terrified of losing her? That every cough, every bruise, every moment she was out of his sight felt like walking a tightrope over a canyon? His phone buzzed. A text from Lena. Mrs. Chen told me what happened. Is Emma okay? Ryan stared at the message. He'd been so wrapped up in his own fear, and trying to figure out what he wanted, that he'd forgotten Lena was waiting for an answer. And now Emma was in the hospital. Fine, but still. And he didn't have the energy to think about anything beyond getting through the next hour. He typed back, "She's okay. Home now. Can I come over?" He should say no. Should tell her he needed space, needed to focus on Emma. But the truth was, he didn't want to be alone. Didn't want to sit here drowning in his own head. "Yeah. Please." She arrived 20 minutes later with a bag of groceries and a stuffed elephant for Emma. "I didn't know what you needed, so I just grabbed stuff," Lena said, setting the bag on the counter. "You didn't have to do that." "I know." Emma's face lit up when she saw the elephant. "For me?" "For you," Lena said. "Thought you could use a friend." Emma hugged it to her chest. "Thank you." Lily was asleep in her carrier. Lena set it gently on the floor and came to sit beside Ryan on the couch. She didn't say anything, just sat there, her shoulder touching his, and it was enough. After a while, Emma fell asleep, the elephant tucked under one arm, the rabbit under the other. Ryan carried her to bed, pulled the blanket up to her chin, and stood in the doorway watching her breathe. When he came back, Lena was in the kitchen putting away groceries. She'd bought bread, eggs, milk, pasta, vegetables, normal things. Things he should have had already but didn't because he'd been too distracted. "You didn't have to do this," he said again. "I wanted to." "Why?" She turned to face him. "Because you'd do the same for me. You already have." Ryan leaned against the counter and felt something crack inside him. All the fear, all the walls, all the reasons he'd been telling himself to stay away. They didn't matter anymore. Not when Lena was standing in his kitchen putting away groceries like it was the most natural thing in the world. Not when Emma had just been in the hospital, and the only thing that had kept him from completely losing it was knowing Lena was on her way. "I don't know how to do this," he said. "Do what?" "This. Whatever we are. I don't know how to let someone in without being terrified they're going to leave." Lena crossed the kitchen and stood in front of him. "I can't promise I won't leave. Nobody can promise that. But I can promise I'm not going anywhere right now. And I can promise I'll try. That's not much of a guarantee. It's the only one I've got." Ryan looked at her, at the way her hair was falling out of its ponytail, at the dark circles under her eyes, at the way she was looking at him like he was worth the risk. "Okay," he said. "Okay, what?" "Okay, let's try. You and me. Whatever this is." Lena's eyes went wide. "Are you serious?" "Yeah, I'm serious." She kissed him. It wasn't planned or smooth or anything like the movies. It was clumsy and sudden and over too fast, but it was real, and when she pulled back, she was smiling. "I wasn't expecting that," she said. "Neither was I." They stood there close enough that Ryan could count her heartbeats, and for the first time in 3 years, the fear didn't win. "I should probably go," Lena said eventually. "Let you rest." "You could stay, on the couch, if you want." "Ryan, not like that, just, I don't want to be alone tonight." Lena looked at him, then at Lily still sleeping in her carrier. "Okay, yeah, we'll stay." They set up the couch with blankets and pillows. Lena put Lily down in the carrier beside her, and Ryan brought her an extra pillow from his room. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, too wired to sleep, too exhausted to do anything else. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. "Sure. What changed between last week and now?" Ryan thought about it. "Emma, seeing her in that hospital bed, I realized I've been so scared of losing people that I've been missing out on actually having them, and that's no way to live." "No," Lena said softly. "It's not." "What about you? Why do you want this?" "I'm a mess. I've got a kid and a failing garage and more baggage than an airport." Lena laughed. "You think I don't have baggage? I'm a single mom with no family and a job that barely pays the bills. We're both disasters." "So why are we doing this?" "Because disasters need each other." Ryan smiled. "That's a terrible reason." "It's the only one I've got." They fell asleep like that, sitting on opposite ends of the couch, Lily between them, the apartment quiet except for the sound of breathing. When Ryan woke up, sunlight was streaming through the window, and Lena was gone. For a second, panic seized him. She'd changed her mind. She'd left. He'd imagined the whole thing. Then he heard voices in the kitchen. He found Lena making pancakes with Emma. Lily was awake in her carrier, gurgling happily. Emma was standing on a chair, helping flip pancakes, and Lena was laughing at something she'd said. "Morning," Lena said when she saw him. "Morning. We made breakfast," Emma announced. "Well, Lena made it. I helped." "I can see that." Ryan poured himself coffee and watched them work. It felt surreal, domestic, like this was something they'd been doing for years instead of stumbling into last night. After breakfast, Lena packed up Lily's things. "I should get home," she said. "Give you guys some space." "You don't have to." "I know, but I want to do this right, slow. Figure it out as we go." "Okay?" At the door, she kissed him again, quick and sweet and nothing like the first one. "Call me later," she said. "Yeah." "And Ryan?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for letting me in. Thank you for not giving up on me." After she left, Emma looked at him with a knowing smile. "You like her," she said. "Yeah, Bug. I do." "Good. I like her too." The next few weeks were strange and wonderful and terrifying all at once. Ryan and Lena took it slow like she'd said, saw each other a few times a week, texted every day, started building something that felt less like a rebound and more like a foundation. Emma and Lily grew closer. Emma started talking about Lily like she was her little sister, and Lena didn't correct her. They went to the park together, had dinners together, fell into a rhythm that felt almost normal, but Ryan still couldn't shake the fear. It lived in the back of his mind, whispering that this was temporary, that it would fall apart, that he'd lose everything again. One Saturday, they were at Lena's apartment. Emma and Lily were playing on the floor. Well, Emma was playing, Lily was mostly just lying there watching, and Lena was cleaning up lunch. "Ryan," she said, Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Are you happy?" The question caught him off guard. "What?" "Are you happy? Right now? With this?" He looked at Emma, at Lily, at Lena standing in her small kitchen with dish soap on her hands. "Yeah," he said, "I am." Then stopped waiting for it to fall apart. "I'm not." "You are. I can see it. Every time things feel good, you pull back a little, like you're bracing for impact." Ryan opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. She was right. "I don't know how to stop," he admitted. "Then we'll figure it out together." That night, after Emma was asleep, Ryan sat on his couch and thought about what Lena had said, about being happy, about letting go. He pulled out his phone and opened the Photos app, scrolled back 3 years to the pictures of Sarah, her smile, her paint-stained hands, the life they'd built. He'd been holding on to her so tight that he couldn't hold on to anything else. But maybe it was time. Ryan created a new album, moved all the photos of Sarah into it, labeled it carefully. Then he put the phone down and sat in the quiet. It didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like breathing. The weeks that followed felt like learning to walk again. Ryan and Lena didn't rush anything. They took Emma and Lily to the zoo on a Sunday and spent most of the afternoon just watching the girls point at animals and laugh. They had dinner at Ryan's apartment twice a week, trading off who cooked, though Lena was better at it, and they both knew it. They texted through the day, small things, nothing profound, a picture of Lily sleeping, a complaint about a difficult customer. Emma's drawing of what she claimed was a dragon, but looked more like a very angry potato. It was normal, frighteningly normal. Ryan kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Lena to realize he wasn't worth the trouble, for Emma to decide she didn't like sharing him, for something to go catastrophically wrong the way things always seemed to when he let himself want something. But nothing did. One evening in late October, Lena called him after Emma had gone to bed. "I have a weird favor to ask," she said. "Okay." "My landlord's raising the rent, like, significantly. I can't afford it and keep Lily in daycare." Ryan's chest tightened. "How much are we talking?" $400 more a month." He whistled low. "That's brutal." "Yeah, so I'm looking at cheaper places, but everything decent is either too far from work or in a terrible neighborhood, and I don't know what to do." Ryan didn't think, just said it. "Move in here." Silence on the other end. "What?" Lena finally said. "Move in, with me and Emma. There's room. The apartment's not huge, but we could make it work." "Ryan, that's a lot." "I know. We've only been together a few months." "I know that too." People don't just, you can't just ask someone to move in because their rent went up. Why not? Lena laughed, but it sounded strained. Because it's insane. Maybe. But it makes sense. You need a place. I have space. Emma loves having you guys around. It would help both of us. And what happens if this doesn't work out? If we crash and burn? Ryan had thought about that. Of course he had. But the alternative, watching Lena struggle, watching her move somewhere unsafe or too far away, watching this thing between them get slowly choked out by logistics, felt worse. Then we figure it out, he said. But I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. Another long silence. Can I think about it? Lena asked. Yeah, take your time. She thought about it for 3 days. Ryan didn't push, didn't bring it up, just went about his life and tried not to obsess over what her answer would be. On the 3rd day, she showed up at the garage during his lunch break. Lily was strapped to her chest in a carrier, fast asleep. Okay, Lena said. Ryan looked up from the sandwich he was eating. Okay, what? Okay, I'll move in. But we need ground rules. All right, like what? Like, I pay rent. Not the full amount, but something fair. I'm not a charity case. Deal. And we split bills, groceries, utilities, all of it. Fine. And if this goes south, we don't make it weird for the girls. We stay civil. We figure it out like adults. Ryan set down his sandwich and walked over to her. It's not going to go south. You don't know that. No, but I believe it. Lena looked at him, and something in her face softened. You're really sure about this? I'm sure. She kissed him, quick and hard, and Lily stirred against her chest but didn't wake. Okay then, Lena said. Let's do this. Moving day was chaos. Lena didn't have much. Most of her furniture had come with the apartment, but what she did have filled the truck Ryan borrowed from a guy who owed him a favor. Emma helped carry boxes, insisting on taking the heaviest ones, even though Ryan had to secretly lighten them when she wasn't looking. Lily cried the entire time, overwhelmed by the noise and movement. By evening, Lena's stuff was crammed into Ryan's apartment, and the place looked like a tornado had hit it. Boxes everywhere, furniture in the wrong rooms. Emma's toys mixed with Lily's in a pile by the couch. They ordered pizza and sat on the floor because the table was buried under Lena's kitchen supplies. This is a disaster, Lena said, looking around. Yeah, Ryan agreed. What did we just do? Something stupid, probably. Emma, sitting cross-legged with a slice of pepperoni, looked between them. I think it's good. Yeah, Ryan said. Yeah, it feels like a real family now. Ryan and Lena exchanged a look. Neither of them said anything, but they didn't have to. The first week of living together was an adjustment. Lena woke up earlier than Ryan, and her morning routine involved a lot of noise. Cabinets opening, coffee brewing, Lily fussing before her first feeding. Ryan was used to silence in the mornings, to moving through the apartment like a ghost while Emma slept. Sorry, Lena whispered one morning when she saw him stumble out of his room, bleary-eyed. It's fine. I'm trying to be quiet. You're doing great. She wasn't, but he didn't care. Emma took to the new arrangement like it was something she'd been waiting for her whole life. She helped Lena with Lily without being asked. Set the table for dinner. Made sure her toys were picked up so Lily wouldn't grab them. It was like she'd decided this was her job now, keeping everyone together. Ryan watched her one night, reading a story to Lily, even though the baby couldn't understand a word, and felt something shift in his chest. She's happy, Lena said, appearing beside him. Yeah. You okay? I'm good, I didn't think we'd get here, After Sarah, I thought it was just going to be me and Emma forever. And now? Now I don't know what I was so scared of. Lena leaned her head on his shoulder. You were scared of this. Of it being real. I'm still scared. I know. Me too. They stood there, watching Emma make silly faces at Lily, and Ryan thought maybe being scared wasn't the worst thing. Maybe it just meant you had something worth protecting. 2 weeks after Lena moved in, Emma got sick. Not serious, just a cold, but it hit her hard. She spent 3 days on the couch, feverish and miserable, complaining that her throat hurt and her head hurt and everything hurt. Ryan took time off work to stay with her. Lena helped when she could between freelance deadlines, bringing Emma juice and soup and keeping Lily quiet so Emma could rest. On the third day, Emma's fever spiked. Ryan checked it, 100, 2.5, and felt the familiar panic start to claw its way up his throat. "It's just a fever," Lena said, calm. "Kids get them all the time." "I know. But you're spiraling." "I'm not." She gave him a look. "Okay, maybe a little." "She's going to be fine, Ryan. It's a cold." But that night, Emma got worse. The fever climbed to 103, and she started shaking, her teeth chattering even though she was buried under blankets. "We're going to the hospital," Ryan said. Lena didn't argue, just grabbed Lily and her diaper bag while Ryan wrapped Emma in a blanket and carried her to the truck. The ER was packed. They waited for 2 hours before a doctor finally saw them. Emma was barely awake by then, her skin hot to the touch, her eyes glassy. The doctor examined her, asked questions, ordered tests. Ryan answered mechanically, his brain stuck in a loop of worst-case scenarios. When the doctor left, Lena took his hand. "She's going to be okay," she said again. "You don't know that." "I do. Look at her. She's strong, just like you." Ryan wanted to believe her, wanted to let go of the fear that had been his constant companion for 3 years. But sitting in that hospital room, watching Emma sleep fitfully under fluorescent lights, all he could think about was Sarah, about how fast things could go wrong, about how little control he actually had over any of it. The doctor came back an hour later with results. Strep throat. Bad but treatable. Antibiotics and rest, and she'd be fine in a few days. Ryan exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. They took Emma home at 2 a.m. Lena carried Lily while Ryan carried Emma, and they moved through the apartment in silence, everyone too tired to speak. Ryan got Emma settled in bed, gave her the first dose of antibiotics, and sat beside her until she fell asleep. When he came out, Lena was on the couch, Lily asleep on her chest. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Ryan sat beside her. "I don't know." "Talk to me." He didn't know how to explain it, the weight of it, the constant fear that he'd lose someone else. That one wrong move, one missed symptom, 1 second of not paying attention would cost him everything. "I can't do this again," he said finally. "Do what?" "Lose someone. I can't. If something happened to Emma, nothing's going to happen to Emma. You don't know that. Sarah was fine 1 minute and then she wasn't. Things go wrong. People leave. I can't." Lena shifted, adjusting Lily so she could look at him. "Ryan, listen to me. You can't live like this. You can't spend every day waiting for disaster." "I'm not." "You are. And I get it. I do. But you're going to make yourself sick. You're going to miss the good stuff because you're so busy bracing for the bad. But the bad stuff happens whether I brace for it or not." "I know, but you've got me now. You've got all of us. You don't have to carry it alone." Ryan looked at her, at Lily, sleeping peacefully, at the apartment they'd built together, messy and chaotic and real. "What if I let you down?" he asked. "You won't. You don't know that. I know you. That's enough." Something in Ryan cracked. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and let himself feel it. The fear, the grief, the love that was bigger and more terrifying than anything he'd ever known. Lena put her free hand on his back. Didn't say anything. Just sat there with him while he fell apart. When he finally pulled himself together, it was almost dawn. Lena had moved Lily to the carrier and was making coffee in the kitchen. "You should sleep," Ryan said. "So should you." "I won't be able to." She poured 2 cups, handed him one. They sat at the table, and Ryan stared into his coffee like it held answers. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For being a mess, and..." "You're not a mess. You're a person. There's a difference." Ryan smiled, small. "Is there?" "Yeah. Messes don't try. You try. Every single day. That's all anyone can ask." They sat in silence, drinking coffee, watching the sun start to creep through the windows. "Thank you," Ryan said. "For being here. For staying." "Where else would I go?" He didn't have an answer for that. Emma recovered quickly once the antibiotics kicked in. Within a week, she was back to normal, running around, asking a million questions, driving Ryan and Lena both slightly crazy. Lily hit a growth spurt and started sleeping longer stretches at night, which felt like a miracle. Life settled into a new rhythm. messy and loud and nothing like the quiet, controlled existence Ryan had been clinging to. But it was good, better than good. One Saturday morning, Ryan woke up to the sound of laughter. He stumbled out of his room to find Emma and Lena making pancakes, flour everywhere, Lily in her bouncer watching with wide eyes. "Morning," Lena said, grinning. She had batter on her cheek. "Morning." Ryan rubbed his eyes. "What's all this?" "Emma wanted to make breakfast." "I'm helping," Emma said proudly. "I can see that." He poured himself coffee and leaned against the counter, watching them work. The kitchen was a disaster. There was batter on the floor, dishes piled in the sink, and somehow flour had made it onto the ceiling. But Emma was laughing, and Lena was smiling, and Lily was making happy noises, and Ryan thought maybe this was what happiness looked like. Not perfect, not controlled, just real. After breakfast, which was surprisingly good despite the chaos, they took the girls to the park. Emma played on the swings while Ryan pushed Lily in the baby swing, her legs kicking with delight. Lena sat on a bench, watching them, and when Ryan glanced over, she was smiling that smile, the one that made him feel like maybe he'd done something right for once. "What?" he called over. "Nothing, just, this is nice." "Yeah, it is." Later, after the girls were in bed, Ryan and Lena sat on the couch with a bottle of cheap wine Lena had picked up from the corner store. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. "Always." "Do you ever think about the future? Like, really think about it?" Ryan took a sip of wine. "Sometimes." "Why?" "I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering where this goes, what we're building." "What do you want it to be?" Lena looked at him. "I want it to be permanent. I want to wake up every morning and know you're here. I want Emma and Lily to grow up together. I want all of it." Ryan's heart did something complicated. "That's a lot. I know. Too much?" "No, not too much. Just scary." Everything worth having is scary. Ryan thought about that, about Sarah and the life they'd built and how it had been ripped away in an instant, about Emma and how close he'd come to losing her more times than he could count, about Lena and Lily and this fragile, beautiful thing they were building. "Okay," he said. "Okay, what?" "Okay, let's do it. The future. All of it." Lena set down her wine and kissed him, and this time it wasn't tentative or scared. It was sure, it was real. "I love you," she said when she pulled back. Ryan hadn't said those words to anyone since Sarah, hadn't let himself feel them. But sitting there with Lena, in the apartment they shared, with their girls asleep down the hall, he couldn't hold them back anymore. "I love you too," he said, and he meant it. The next morning, everything felt different, not in a bad way, just solidified, like they had crossed some invisible line and there was no going back. Emma noticed at breakfast. "You guys are being weird," she said. "What do you mean?" Ryan asked. "I don't know. Smiley. It's weird." Lena laughed. "Is that bad?" Emma considered this. "No, I like it. Just weird." Work picked up at the garage. Ryan took on more jobs than he probably should have, but with Lena's rent contribution and her freelance work, they were actually stable for the first time in years. Not rich, not even comfortable, but stable. Lena started taking on bigger clients, designing full brand packages instead of just logos. She worked from the apartment while watching Lily, her laptop balanced on her knees, Lily on a playmat beside her. One evening, Ryan came home to find Lena crying in the kitchen. "Hey, what's wrong?" She wiped her eyes. "Nothing. I'm fine." "You're crying." "I got a big project, like really big, a startup that's getting funded. They want a complete rebrand." "That's amazing. Why are you crying?" "Because I don't know if I can do it. What if I screw it up? What if I'm not good enough?" Ryan crossed the kitchen and pulled her into a hug. "You're good enough. You're better than good enough." "You have to say that." "I don't have to say anything. I'm saying it because it's true." Lena buried her face in his chest. "What if I fail?" "Then you fail, and we figure it out. But you're not going to fail." She pulled back, looking at him. "How are you so sure?" "Because I've seen what you can do. And because even if you do fail, you'll get back up. That's who you are." Lena took a shaky breath, then nodded. Okay, okay, I can do this. You can. She did. The project took 6 weeks, and there were moments when she wanted to quit, when she stayed up until 2 a.m. tweaking designs and second-guessing every choice. But she finished it, and the client loved it. And suddenly Lena had a portfolio piece that opened doors she hadn't even known existed. Ryan watched her grow into herself, watched her confidence build, and felt something like pride mixed with awe. Winter came. The apartment was drafty and cold, but they made it work. Extra blankets, space heaters. Emma and Lily bundled in layers that made them look like tiny marshmallows. Christmas was simple. They didn't have money for much, but they made it special anyway. A small tree from the lot down the street. Homemade decorations Emma crafted from construction paper. Presents wrapped in newspaper because they'd run out of wrapping paper and didn't want to buy more. Emma got books and art supplies. Lily got toys that crinkled and rattled. Lena gave Ryan a watch. Not expensive, but it worked, and his old one had stopped months ago. Ryan gave Lena a set of professional design markers she'd been eyeing but wouldn't buy for herself. They ate dinner together, all 4 of them crowded around the table. Emma told jokes she'd learned at school. Lily babbled nonsense. Lena and Ryan held hands under the table. It was perfect in its imperfection. That night, after the girls were asleep, Ryan and Lena sat on the couch, exhausted and happy. "This was a good day," Lena said. "Yeah, it was. I can't believe this is my life now." "What do you mean?" "I mean, 6 months ago, I was alone, terrified, didn't know how I was going to make it. And now," she gestured around the apartment, "now I have this. I have you. I have us." Ryan pulled her closer. "I know what you mean. Do you ever miss it? The before?" He thought about Sarah, about the quiet life they'd had, about the version of himself that had existed back then, younger, less damaged, less afraid. "Sometimes," he said honestly, "but I wouldn't trade this, not for anything." Lena kissed his cheek. "Good, because you're stuck with me now." "I can live with that." They fell asleep on the couch, tangled together, the Christmas tree lights casting soft colors across the room. January brought new challenges. Emma started having nightmares again, the kind she hadn't had in months. She'd wake up crying, convinced something terrible was going to happen. Ryan would sit with her until she fell back asleep, stroking her hair and promising her everything was okay. "What's going on with her?" Lena asked one night after a particularly bad episode. "I don't know, she's been doing so well." "Maybe it's too much change, new living situation, new routines." "Maybe. We should talk to her, really talk, see what's going on." Ryan knew she was right. The next afternoon, while Lena took Lily to a doctor's appointment, Ryan sat Emma down. "Bug, we need to talk." Emma looked wary. "Am I in trouble?" "No, nothing like that. I just want to know what's been going on with the nightmares." She picked at her sleeve. "I don't know." "Yes, you do. Talk to me." Long silence. Then quietly, "I'm scared you're going to leave." The words hit Ryan like a punch. "Leave? Emma, I'm not going anywhere. Mom left. That's different. Mom didn't choose to leave. It was an accident. But she still left. And what if you leave too? Or what if Lena leaves? Or Lily?" Ryan pulled her into his lap, even though she was getting too big for it. "Listen to me. I'm not going anywhere. None of us are. We're a family now. That means we stick together." "Promise?" "I promise." Emma buried her face in his chest. "I don't want anything to change again." "I know, but change isn't always bad. Sometimes it's good. Like Lena and Lily. That was a change and it made things better, right?" She nodded against him. "So we're going to keep going. Keep being a family. And if you get scared, you tell me. Deal?" "Deal." That night, Emma slept through without waking. And the next night, and the one after that. Ryan told Lena about the conversation later. "She's scared of losing people," he said. "Just like me. Kids pick up on that stuff. She probably senses your fear." "Great. So I'm traumatizing my daughter." "You're not traumatizing her. You're teaching her that it's okay to be scared, that you can be scared and still keep going." Ryan hoped she was right. February came, then March. The days started getting longer, warmer. Emma's 8th birthday approached, and they planned a small party. Just a few kids from school, cake, pizza, the works. The day of the party, Ryan woke up with a knot in his stomach. He couldn't explain it, just a feeling that something was about to go wrong. But nothing did. The party went perfectly. Emma laughed and played and blew out her candles with Lily on her lap, helping her make a wish. Lena took pictures. Ryan manned the pizza. It was chaotic and loud and exactly what it should have been. That night, after the last kid left and Emma crashed on the couch, sugar high finally wearing off, Ryan stood in the kitchen cleaning up. Lena came up behind him, wrapped her arms around his waist. "Today was good," she said. "Yeah." "You seem off, though. Everything okay?" Ryan dried his hands and turned to face her. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop." "What do you mean?" "I mean, things are good, really good, and I keep thinking something's going to ruin it." Lena took his face in her hands. "Ryan Carter, you need to stop waiting for disaster and start enjoying what you have." "I'm trying. Try harder." She kissed him, and he let himself believe her. Let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, things could stay good. But 2 days later, Emma collapsed at school again. The call came at 1:47 p.m. Ryan was under a Honda, replacing brake pads, when his phone started buzzing in his pocket. He almost didn't answer, almost let it go to voicemail. But something made him slide out, wipe his hands, and pick up. "Mr. Carter, this is Principal Morrison from Riverside Elementary. Emma had another episode. She's conscious, but we've called an ambulance." The wrench slipped from Ryan's hand and clattered on the concrete. "I'm on my way." He didn't remember the drive to the hospital, didn't remember parking or running through the ER doors, or the way his heart hammered so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. The next clear moment was standing in front of a doctor, different from last time, younger, with tired eyes, who was explaining that Emma was stable but they needed to run more tests. "What kind of tests?" Ryan asked. "Cardiac workup, metabolic panel, neurological assessment. We want to rule out anything serious." "Like what?" The doctor hesitated. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll know more once we have results." Ryan wanted to grab him by the collar and demand answers, but he just nodded. "Can I see her?" "Room 8. Emma was awake when he got there, sitting up in the hospital bed with an IV in her arm. She looked small and pale and scared. "Hey, Bug," Ryan said, keeping his voice steady even though his hands were shaking. "I'm sorry, Dad." "For what?" "For scaring you again." Ryan sat in the chair beside her bed and took her hand. "You didn't do anything wrong. You hear me?" "Nothing." She nodded, but tears were already sliding down her cheeks. "What if something's really wrong with me?" "Then we'll fix it. Whatever it is, we'll handle it." The door opened. Lena rushed in, Lily strapped to her chest, her face flushed from running. "I came as soon as I got your message," she said breathlessly. "Is she okay?" "They're running tests," Ryan said. Lena crossed to the bed and smoothed Emma's hair back. "Hey, sweetheart, you gave us a scare." "I know. I didn't mean to." "I know you didn't." They waited. Minutes stretched into hours. A nurse came in to draw blood, another to check vitals. A technician wheeled Emma away for an EKG, and Ryan paced the hallway while Lena sat with Lily, who was starting to fuss. "You should take her home," Ryan said. "I'm not leaving." "Lena, I'm not leaving," she repeated firmer. "We're in this together, remember?" Ryan wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she didn't have to stay, that this wasn't her burden to carry. But the truth was, he needed her there, needed her steady presence, her calm in the middle of his storm. So he just nodded and sat beside her. Emma came back 20 minutes later. The technician said the EKG looked normal, but they'd need to wait for the doctor to confirm. Another hour passed, then 2. Emma fell asleep, exhausted from the stress and fear. Lily finally settled. Ryan and Lena sat in silence, hands clasped together, waiting. The doctor came in at 6:30. Ryan's stomach dropped when he saw her expression, serious but not devastated. That middle ground that could mean anything. "Mr. Carter, Miss Hayes, can we talk outside?" They followed her into the hallway. Ryan's heart was pounding so loud he could barely hear. Emma's tests came back mostly normal, the doctor said. No arrhythmias, no metabolic disorders, no neurological abnormalities. "Then what's causing this?" Ryan asked. We think it's vasovagal syncope. Essentially, her body's overreacting to certain triggers: stress, dehydration, standing too long. It causes a sudden drop in blood pressure and heart rate, which leads to fainting. Is it dangerous? It can be if she hits her head when she falls, but it's not life-threatening. We can manage it with lifestyle changes, making sure she stays hydrated, eats regularly, learns to recognize the warning signs. Ryan felt something release in his chest. So she's going to be okay. She's going to be fine. We'll want to monitor her, do a follow-up in a few weeks, but yes, she's okay. Lena let out a breath that sounded like a sob. Ryan pulled her into a hug, and they stood there in the hallway, holding each other while relief washed over them. They discharged Emma that evening with instructions and a follow-up appointment card. She was quiet on the drive home, staring out the window. "You okay?" Ryan asked. "Just tired. We're going to figure this out. Make sure it doesn't happen again." "What if it does?" "Then we deal with it. But we're going to do everything we can to prevent it." At home, Ryan carried Emma to bed even though she insisted she could walk. Lena got Lily settled, and they reconvened in the kitchen, both too wired to sleep. "That was terrifying," Lena said. "Yeah, I thought—" She stopped, started again. "When you called, I thought the worst. I couldn't breathe." Ryan pulled her close. "I know, me too. She's okay, though. She's really okay." "She is." They stood there holding each other, letting the fear drain away. "Thank you," Ryan said after a while. "For what?" "For being there. For not leaving when things got hard." Lena pulled back to look at him. "Where would I go, Ryan? This is my family, too." "Emma's my family. You're my family." Something in Ryan's chest cracked open. He'd spent so long afraid of letting people in, afraid of needing them, that he'd forgotten what it felt like to actually have someone stay. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." The next few weeks were an adjustment. They made sure Emma ate breakfast every morning, packed her water bottle for school, taught her to sit down if she felt dizzy. She hated it at first, hated being treated like she was fragile, but eventually she accepted it as the new normal. Lena's business continued to grow. She landed another big client, then another. By April, she was making more than Ryan, and they started talking about the possibility of her working full-time from home, maybe even hiring help so she could take on more projects. "I never thought I'd get here," she said one night while working on a logo design. "I always figured I'd be scraping by forever." "You worked for it," Ryan said. "You deserve it." "We worked for it. You supported me, took care of Lily when I needed to focus. I couldn't have done this without you." Ryan didn't know what to say to that. He'd never thought of himself as someone who supported people's dreams. He'd always just been trying to survive. But maybe that was enough. One Saturday in May, Ryan closed the garage early and took everyone to the beach. It was the first warm day of the year, and the shore was crowded with families. Emma ran straight for the water, her shoes kicked off halfway there. Lily sat in the sand, fascinated by the texture, grabbing fistfuls and letting it slip through her fingers. Lena spread out a blanket, and they sat watching the girls play. "This is nice," she said. "Yeah. We should do this more often." "Probably." She leaned against him. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. Where do you see us in 5 years?" Ryan thought about it. 5 years ago, he'd been married to Sarah, working at the garage, thinking he had his whole life mapped out. Then everything had fallen apart, and he'd spent the next 3 years just trying to keep his head above water. But now? "I see us here," he said. "Maybe in a bigger place. Maybe with the garage doing better. Emma in middle school, Lily starting kindergarten. Still figuring it out, but together." Lena smiled. "That sounds good. What about you?" "I see the same thing. Maybe I'm running my own design studio. Maybe you've hired someone to help at the garage so you're not working 70-hour weeks. Maybe we're married." Ryan's heart skipped. "Married?" Lena looked at him, suddenly shy. "Is that crazy?" "No, it's just, I didn't know you were thinking about that. I think about it all the time, but I didn't want to push, didn't want to make you feel like you had to." Ryan took her hand. "I want to. Not right now, maybe, but someday. When we're ready." "When we're ready," Lena repeated, and she was smiling that smile again. The one that made Ryan feel like maybe he'd finally gotten something right. Emma ran back, soaking wet, sand clinging to her legs. "Dad, come swim with me." "I didn't bring a suit." "So? Just come in with your clothes." "Emma, please?" Ryan looked at Lena, who was grinning. "You should go." "You're not helping." "Nope." He stood, resigned. Emma grabbed his hand and dragged him toward the water. It was freezing, and he yelped when the first wave hit his knees. "See?" Emma said. "Not so bad." "It's terrible." She laughed and splashed him. Ryan splashed back. They played like that for 20 minutes, Emma squealing every time a wave knocked her over, Ryan trying and failing to stay dry. When they finally came back to the blanket, Ryan was soaked and shivering, and Lena was laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. "You look ridiculous," she said. "Thanks." "But happy." Ryan sat down, dripping all over the blanket. "Yeah, I am." That night, after the girls were asleep, Ryan found himself standing in the bathroom, staring at his reflection. He looked different than he had a year ago. Older, maybe. But lighter, too. Like he'd put down a weight he'd been carrying so long he'd forgotten it was there. Lena appeared in the doorway. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "About how different things are now, how different I am." She came to stand beside him. "Good different?" "Yeah, good different." In June, Emma finished second grade. Her teacher sent home a note saying she'd done exceptionally well, that she was reading above grade level and had been a joy to have in class. Emma beamed when Ryan read it to her. "I'm smart," she said. "You are." "Like Mom was." Ryan's throat tightened. "Yeah, like Mom." Lily was crawling now, getting into everything. They had to baby-proof the apartment all over again. Outlet covers, cabinet locks, gates at the top of the stairs. Emma appointed herself Lily's protector, following her around and redirecting her away from danger. "She's like a little mother," Lena said, watching Emma gently move Lily away from the electrical cord. "She's been through a lot. I think it made her grow up faster." "Is that a bad thing?" Ryan thought about it. "I don't know. I wish she didn't have to. But I'm proud of who she is." "Me too." July brought a heat wave. The apartment had no air conditioning, so they spent most evenings at the park or the public pool. Money was still tight, but they were managing. More than managing, actually. For the first time in years, Ryan wasn't constantly worried about making rent or keeping the lights on. One evening, after the girls were in bed, Lena brought out her laptop. "I want to show you something," she said. She pulled up a spreadsheet. Income, expenses, projections for the next year. "If we keep going at this rate," she said, "we could actually save money. Like, real money. Maybe even enough for a down payment on a house." Ryan stared at the numbers. "Are you serious?" "I ran it 3 times. It's possible." "A house." "I know it's a long shot, but maybe in a few years if we're careful." Ryan had never owned a house, had never even considered it a possibility. But looking at Lena's spreadsheet, at the life they were building, it didn't seem so impossible anymore. "Let's do it," he said. "Really?" "Really. Let's save. Let's get a house. Let's build something permanent." Lena kissed him, hard and fast. "Okay, let's do it." In August, Emma had her follow-up appointment. The doctor was pleased with her progress. No more episodes, vitals all normal. She cleared Emma to return to normal activities with the caveat that she keep up with hydration and check in if anything felt off. "You did good, Bug," Ryan said on the drive home. "I didn't really do anything, just drank water and stuff." "You took care of yourself. That's doing something." Emma smiled, small but real. September brought cooler weather and the start of a new school year. Emma was nervous about third grade, worried she wouldn't like her teacher or make friends. But by the end of the first week, she was coming home with stories about recess and art class and a girl named Sophie who liked the same books she did. Lily turned one. They had a small party, just the 4 of them plus Mrs. Chen, who brought a cake she'd made herself. Lily smashed her face into it, getting frosting everywhere, and Emma laughed so hard she hiccuped. "This is perfect," Lena said, taking pictures. Ryan looked around, at the tiny apartment filled with people he loved, at the life they'd cobbled together from broken pieces. "Yeah," he said. "It is." That night, after everyone had gone home and the girls were asleep, Ryan stood on the balcony looking out at the city. Lena joined him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Everything. How we got here. How close I came to missing this." "But you didn't." "No, I didn't." They stood there in silence, the city humming around them. "I want to marry you," Ryan said suddenly. Lena went still. "What?" He turned to face her. "I want to marry you. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday soon. I want to make this official. I want everyone to know that you and Lily are mine and I'm yours." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "Are you serious?" "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." "Then yes. Yes, I'll marry you, whenever you're ready." Ryan kissed her, and it felt like a promise. Like every choice that had led them here, every mistake, every loss, every moment of fear had been worth it for this. They didn't get engaged right away. Ryan wanted to save up for a ring, wanted to do it properly. But the promise was there, unspoken but solid. October came. Then November. The days got shorter, colder. Ryan hired a part-time mechanic to help at the garage, which meant he could take Sundays off for the first time in years. They spent those days together, all four of them, doing nothing in particular. Breakfast at the diner down the street, walks in the park, movie nights on the couch with popcorn and too many blankets. Emma asked one Sunday morning, "Are you and Lena getting married?" Ryan looked at Lena, who looked back at him, eyebrows raised. "Maybe," he said. "Would that be okay with you?" Emma considered this seriously. "Would that make Lily my real sister?" "She's already your real sister in all the ways that matter. But yeah, legally, she would be." "And Lena would be my stepmom?" "If you wanted her to be." Emma looked at Lena. "Do I have to call you Mom?" "Only if you want to," Lena said gently. "You can call me whatever feels right." Emma nodded, processing. "I think I want to keep calling you Lena. Mom was my mom, but you're Lena. That works for me." "Okay then. You can get married." Moshe Ryan laughed. "Well, thanks for the permission." "You're welcome." December arrived with the first snow. Ryan bought a ring, nothing fancy, just a simple band with a small diamond, and tucked it in his sock drawer, waiting for the right moment. That moment came on Christmas Eve. They'd spent the day together, just the four of them, made cookies that turned out lopsided and slightly burnt, watched holiday movies, let the girls stay up later than they probably should have. When Emma and Lily were finally asleep, Ryan and Lena sat by the tree, exhausted and content. "This was a good day," Lena said. "Yeah. Better than last year. Better than any year in a long time." Ryan took a breath. This was it. Now or never. "Lena." "Yeah?" He pulled the ring box from his pocket. "I know I said we'd wait, but I don't want to wait anymore. I want to start forever, right now." Lena's hand flew to her mouth. "I'm not perfect," Ryan continued. "I'm still scared sometimes, still carrying baggage. But you make me want to be better. You and Emma and Lily, you're my family, and I want to make it official." He opened the box. "Will you marry me?" Lena was crying now, full tears streaming down her face. "Yes, of course yes." Ryan slipped the ring on her finger and she threw her arms around him, laughing and crying at the same time. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." They kissed, and outside the window snow began to fall, covering the city in white. They got married in March, a small ceremony at City Hall with Emma as the flower girl and Lily toddling down the aisle with help from Mrs. Chen. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just them and a handful of people who mattered, making promises they intended to keep. Emma cried during the vows. "Happy tears," she said later, because now they were a real family. Ryan wanted to tell her they'd been a real family for a long time, but he understood what she meant. This made it permanent, official, unbreakable. After the ceremony, they went to the same diner they'd been going to for months, ordered too much food, let the girls have milkshakes for lunch, took pictures with the disposable camera Lena had bought just for this. "We did it," Lena said, looking at her ring. "We did. I'm Lena Carter now. That's weird." "Good weird?" "The best weird." That night, after the girls were asleep, Ryan and Lena lay in bed, still in their wedding clothes because they were too tired to change. "Do you think Sarah would be happy for us?" Lena asked quietly. Ryan thought about it, really thought about it. Yeah, he said. I think she would. She never wanted me to be alone. She'd be glad I found you. I wish I could have met her. Me too. They fell asleep like that, holding each other, exhausted and happy, and finally home. The months that followed were ordinary in the best way. Work, school, dinners together, Emma's soccer games and Lily's first words, and the small, unremarkable moments that made up a life. In June, they found a house. Not big, not perfect, but theirs. 3 bedrooms in a neighborhood with good schools and a yard where the girls could play. They signed the papers in July and moved in August, and for the first time since Sarah died, Ryan felt like he was moving forward instead of just surviving. Emma got her own room, decorated it with posters and books and the stuffed animals she'd collected over the years. Lily got a nursery with painted clouds on the ceiling, Lena's idea, executed with help from Emma. And Ryan got a workshop, a real one, separate from the house, where he could work on cars without motor oil seeping into the living room. One evening in September, Ryan stood in the backyard watching Emma push Lily on the swing set they'd installed last weekend. Lena came out with 2 beers and handed him one. Look at us, she said. Homeowners. Feels fake. Feels real to me. Ryan clinked his bottle against hers. Yeah, I guess it does. Emma called out, Dad, watch this, and proceeded to do what she probably thought was a backflip, but was really just a weird jumping motion. Amazing, Ryan called back. I'm going to be a gymnast. Sure you are, Bug, Lena laughed. She's got your confidence. She's got her mother's everything. Both mothers, Lena corrected gently. Ryan looked at her, at his wife, his partner, the woman who'd stood by him through everything. Yeah, both. That night, after the girls were in bed, Ryan found the album he'd made years ago, the one with all the pictures of Sarah. He hadn't looked at it in months, maybe longer. He opened it slowly, expecting the familiar ache. It was there, but duller now, less sharp. She was beautiful, Lena said, appearing beside him. Yeah, she was. Do you still miss her? Every day. But it doesn't hurt the same way anymore. Good. It shouldn't. Ryan closed the album and set it back on the shelf. Not hidden, not forgotten. Just part of the past. Thank you, he said. For what? For not being jealous. For understanding that loving you doesn't mean I stopped loving her. You loved her first. That's okay. There's room for both. Ryan pulled her close. I don't know what I did to deserve you. You saved my life, remember? I delivered a baby on a subway. You gave me hope when I didn't have any. You showed me what a good man looks like, what a good father looks like. That's worth more than anything. They stood there holding each other in the quiet house they'd built together. The years passed. Emma grew taller, smarter, more confident, started playing soccer seriously, talked about maybe wanting to be a doctor someday. Lily went from toddler to kindergartner, all big eyes and endless questions. Lena's design business flourished. She hired 2 employees and moved into a small office downtown. Ryan expanded the garage, hired a full crew, finally started making real money. They took vacations. Nothing extravagant, just road trips and camping and weekends at the beach. Built memories on top of memories until the hard times felt distant and dreamlike. But they didn't forget. Couldn't forget. The pain was still there, woven into the fabric of who they were. Sarah's picture still sat on the mantel. Emma still had bad days where she missed her mom so much it hurt. Ryan still woke up sometimes, heart racing, convinced he'd lost everything again. But those moments got fewer, further between. And when they came, he didn't face them alone anymore. One night, 5 years after they'd gotten married, Ryan found Emma sitting on the porch, staring at the stars. Hey, Bug, what are you doing out here? Just thinking. He sat beside her. About what? About how different everything is now, how Mom's been gone longer than I knew her. Ryan's chest tightened. Yeah, that's a strange feeling, huh? Do you think she'd recognize us? If she could see us now? I think she'd be proud. Of you especially. You've grown into an amazing person. Emma leaned against him. I wish she could have met Lena and Lily. Me too. But I'm glad we found them. Is that okay to say? It's more than okay. It's the truth. They sat in silence, watching the stars. Dad? Yeah? I'm happy, like really happy. Is that weird? Ryan wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Not weird at all. It feels weird sometimes, like I shouldn't be happy because Mom's not here. Your mom would want you to be happy. That's all she ever wanted. You really think so? I know so. Emma nodded, processing. Then, thanks, Dad. For what? For not giving up. For finding Lena. For making us a family again. Ryan felt tears prick his eyes. You don't have to thank me for that. I want to, though. They sat together until Emma got cold and went inside. Ryan stayed a little longer, looking up at the sky, thinking about Sarah and how proud she'd be of Emma. Of all of them. Inside, Lena was reading to Lily, their voices drifting through the open window. Emma had joined them, sprawling across the bed. Ryan stood at the window, watching his family. His wife, his daughters, the life he'd built from the ashes of the one he'd lost. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. But it was real. It was his. And for the first time in 8 years, Ryan wasn't afraid of losing it. He walked inside, joined them on the bed, and listened to Lena read while the girls fought over who got to turn the pages. This was enough. This was everything. And tomorrow, they'd wake up and do it all again, together. The call came at 1:47 p.m. Ryan was under a Honda, replacing brake pads when his phone started buzzing in his pocket. He almost didn't answer, almost let it go to voicemail, but something made him slide out, wipe his hands, and pick up. Mr. Carter, this is Principal Morrison from Riverside Elementary. Emma had another episode. She's conscious, but we've called an ambulance. The wrench slipped from Ryan's hand and clattered on the concrete. I'm on my way. He didn't remember the drive to the hospital. Didn't remember parking or running through the ER doors. The next clear moment was standing in front of a doctor who was explaining that Emma was stable, but they needed to run more tests. Can I see her? Ryan asked. Room 8. Emma was awake when he got there, sitting up in the hospital bed with an IV in her arm. She looked small and pale and scared. Hey, Bug, Ryan said, keeping his voice steady. I'm sorry, Dad. For what? For scaring you again. Ryan sat in the chair beside her bed and took her hand. You didn't do anything wrong, you hear me? Nothing. The door opened. Lena rushed in, Lily strapped to her chest, her face flushed from running. I came as soon as I got your message, she said breathlessly. Is she okay? They're running tests, Ryan said. Lena crossed to the bed and smoothed Emma's hair back. Hey, sweetheart, you gave us a scare. I know, I didn't mean to. They waited. Hours stretched out. A nurse came in to draw blood. Another to check vitals. Ryan paced the hallway while Lena sat with Lily, who was starting to fuss. You should take her home, Ryan said. I'm not leaving. Lena, I'm not leaving, she repeated, firmer. We're in this together, remember? Ryan wanted to argue, but the truth was he needed her there. So he just nodded and sat beside her. The doctor came in at 6:30. Ryan's stomach dropped when he saw her expression, serious but not devastated. Mr. Carter, Miss Hayes, Emma's tests came back mostly normal, the doctor said. No arrhythmias, no metabolic disorders. We think it's vasovagal syncope. Essentially, her body's overreacting to certain triggers, stress, dehydration, standing too long. It causes a sudden drop in blood pressure. Is it dangerous? Ryan asked. It can be if she hits her head when she falls, but it's not life-threatening. We can manage it with lifestyle changes, staying hydrated, eating regularly, learning to recognize the warning signs. Ryan felt something release in his chest. So she's going to be okay? She's going to be fine. Lena let out a breath that sounded like a sob. Ryan pulled her into a hug, and they stood there in the hallway, holding each other while relief washed over them. They discharged Emma that evening with instructions and a follow-up appointment card. At home, Ryan carried Emma to bed even though she insisted she could walk. Lena got Lily settled, and they reconvened in the kitchen, both too wired to sleep. That was terrifying, Lena said. Yeah. When you called, I thought the worst. I couldn't breathe. Ryan pulled her close. I know, me too. But she's okay. She's really okay. She is. Thank you. Ryan said after a while. For what? For being there. For not leaving when things got hard. Lena pulled back to look at him. Where would I go, Ryan? This is my family too. Emma's my family. You're my family. I love you, he said. I love you too. The next few weeks were an adjustment. They made sure Emma ate breakfast every morning, packed her water bottle for school, taught her to sit down if she felt dizzy. She hated being treated like she was fragile, but eventually she accepted it. Lena's business continued to grow. By April, she was making more than Ryan, and they started talking about the possibility of saving for a house. One Saturday in May, Ryan closed the garage early and took everyone to the beach. Emma ran straight for the water. Lily sat in the sand, fascinated by the texture. Lena spread out a blanket and they sat watching the girls play. Can I ask you something? Lena said. Always. Where do you see us in 5 years? Ryan thought about it. I see us here. Maybe in a bigger place. Emma in middle school, Lily starting kindergarten. Still figuring it out, but together. What about you? I see the same thing. Maybe we're married. Ryan's heart skipped. Married? Lena looked at him, suddenly shy. Is that crazy? No, I want to. Not right now, maybe, but someday. When we're ready. When we're ready, Lena repeated, smiling. Emma ran back, soaking wet. Dad, come swim with me. I didn't bring a suit. Please? He stood, resigned. Emma grabbed his hand and dragged him toward the water. It was freezing, and he yelped when the first wave hit his knees. See? Emma said. Not so bad. They played like that for 20 minutes, Emma squealing every time a wave knocked her over. When they finally came back to the blanket, Ryan was soaked and shivering, and Lena was laughing. You look ridiculous, she said, but happy. Ryan sat down, dripping all over the blanket. Yeah, I am. In December, Ryan bought a ring. Nothing fancy, just a simple band with a small diamond, and tucked it in his sock drawer, waiting for the right moment. That moment came on Christmas Eve. They'd spent the day together, making cookies, watching movies. When Emma and Lily were finally asleep, Ryan and Lena sat by the tree. This was a good day, Lena said. Ryan pulled the ring box from his pocket. I know I said we'd wait, but I don't want to wait anymore. Lena's hand flew to her mouth. I'm not perfect, Ryan continued. I'm still scared sometimes. But you make me want to be better. You and Emma and Lily. You're my family. And I want to make it official. He opened the box. Will you marry me? Lena was crying now. Yes, of course, yes. Ryan slipped the ring on her finger, and she threw her arms around him, laughing and crying at the same time. I love you, she said. I love you too. They got married in March, a small ceremony at City Hall with Emma as the flower girl and Lily toddling down the aisle. Nothing fancy, just them and a handful of people who mattered, making promises they intended to keep. Emma cried during the vows. Happy tears, she said later, because now they were a real family. After the ceremony, they went to their usual diner, ordered too much food, let the girls have milkshakes for lunch. We did it, Lena said, looking at her ring. We did. That night, after the girls were asleep, Ryan and Lena lay in bed, still in their wedding clothes. Do you think Sarah would be happy for us? Lena asked quietly. Ryan thought about it, really thought about it. Yeah, he said. I think she would. She never wanted me to be alone. She'd be glad I found you. They fell asleep like that, holding each other, exhausted and happy, and finally home. The months that followed were ordinary in the best way. Work, school, dinners together. In June, they found a house. Not big, not perfect, but theirs. 3 bedrooms in a neighborhood with good schools and a yard where the girls could play. Emma got her own room. Lily got a nursery with painted clouds on the ceiling, and Ryan got a workshop where he could work on cars without motor oil seeping into the living room. One evening in September, Ryan stood in the backyard watching Emma push Lily on the swing set. Lena came out with 2 beers and handed him one. Look at us, she said, homeowners. Feels fake. Feels real to me. Emma called out, Dad, watch this, and proceeded to do what she thought was a backflip, but was really just a weird jumping motion. Amazing, Ryan called back. Lena laughed. She's got your confidence. She's got her mother's everything. Both mothers, Lena corrected gently. Ryan looked at her. At his wife, his partner. Yeah, both. That night, Ryan found the album he'd made years ago with all the pictures of Sarah. He hadn't looked at it in months. He opened it slowly. The familiar ache was there, but duller now, less sharp. She was beautiful, Lena said, appearing beside him. Yeah, she was. Do you still miss her? Every day, but it doesn't hurt the same way anymore. Ryan closed the album and set it back on the shelf. Not hidden, not forgotten, just part of the past. Thank you, he said. For what? For understanding that loving you doesn't mean I stopped loving her. There's room for both. The years passed. Emma grew taller, smarter, more confident. Started playing soccer, talked about maybe wanting to be a doctor someday. Lily went from toddler to kindergartner, all big eyes and endless questions. One night, 5 years after they'd gotten married, Ryan found Emma sitting on the porch, staring at the stars. Hey, Bug, what are you doing out here? Just thinking. He sat beside her. About what? About how different everything is now, how Mom's been gone longer than I knew her. Ryan's chest tightened. Yeah, that's a strange feeling. Do you think she'd recognize us? If she could see us now? I think she'd be proud. Of you, especially. Emma leaned against him. I'm glad we found Lena and Lily. Is that okay to say? It's more than okay, it's the truth. Dad? Yeah? I'm happy. Like, really happy. Is that weird? Ryan wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Not weird at all. Thanks, Dad, for not giving up, for making us a family again. Ryan felt tears prick his eyes. You don't have to thank me for that. I want to, though. Inside, Lena was reading to Lily, their voices drifting through the open window. Emma had joined them, sprawling across the bed. Ryan stood at the window watching his family, his wife, his daughters, the life he'd built from the ashes of the one he'd lost. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. But it was real. It was his. And for the first time in 8 years, Ryan wasn't afraid of losing it. He walked inside, joined them on the bed, and listened to Lena read while the girls fought over who got to turn the pages. This was enough. This was everything. And tomorrow, they'd wake up and do it all again. Together.